with an Alana board,
it's
right?
just too much.
Three 5/5s is already 15, and you're aiming to deal a lot more than that.
Let's go. Ting Tong going to be the pilot for this deck, and a slight smirk from Sottles. There's Shudderwock. There's Grumble. Seems good right now. As to me, these are both keeps in this matchup. But what about you, Sol? Give me a reason not to.
Because it's the discussion that we had previously, right? Card draw snowballs. If you keep these two cards, this is not your combo. Grumble plus Shudderwock is not your combo. Your combo is Grumble plus Shudderwock plus Life Drinker plus Saronite Chain Gang. You have to have drawn all of those to even have a bare minimum percentage of going off. So if you keep these two cards, you're not hitting an Acolyte on 3 very often. You're not hitting a Manatide on 3 very often. And that means that you're then not powering through your deck as quickly as you can.
Right.
So because card draw snowballs, the first card draw card gets you closer to the second card draw card, which gets you closer to the third, which gets you closer to each of those combo pieces incrementally. That would be my argument against it. However,
you'd keep him.
I'm not sold that I'd keep both of them, to be perfectly honest.
So my view is if you keep him, like, I don't know, maybe I'm too linear with it, but to me, if you keep him one, then just keep them both, and the rest of your deck can try and get there, right? Because you still have time. You're not in a major rush, but I would rather try and mentally remove the point of Shudderwock being the last card in your deck for some reason.
Fair enough. Oh, hey, a Saronite Chain Gang and a Life Drinker is the first 2 draws.
Told you it was right.
Fair enough. Let me actually check the list really quick, because there's a couple of things that can have an impact on this. If there are 2 Life Drinkers and 2 Saronite Chain Gangs, which, okay, fully on board now with New Zealand's decision. If you're playing 1 Life Drinker, that Life Drinker is in itself kind of as rare to draw as your Grumble or Shudderwock, if you want to look at it that way. And then, you know, the merit of, like, throwing it back, and potentially you can just pick up Acolytes or Farsights or Manatide Totems, and then your card draw snowballs and everything I described. When you're playing 2 Life Drinkers, 2 Saronite Chain Gangs, then I can totally get down with the argument of I have the 2, quote, rarest cards in my deck, in my hand already. Everything else will take care of itself. It makes a lot of sense now that I look at the deck list in more detail.
Yeah, and just a bit of a nod to a couple of differences. There's double Doomsayer, of course, in this mage list for Zuka. 1 Acolyte of Pain, 1 Arcane Keysmith, the 2 Saronite Chain Gangs, I think, is the most common differences in some lists you'll see.
The most common difference.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That does make sense.
I guess those are words, yeah.
When you add the rest of my sentence to it, it makes sense.
Sure.
Just pick a couple of words and go, they don't make sense. Like, well, that's why I said the other words as well.
New Zealand have drawn very well after that keep as well. They found the Saronite Chain Gang, they found the Life Drinker, and they found a Farsight to start some card draw rolling as well. On top of that, they had the Earth Shock to deny the card draw from the Mage, which kind of puts pay to that theory that I was describing earlier of just try and power through your deck, pump out some big spells, and then get a big push with the late game threats. That's very hard to do if your card draw gets denied with the Earth Shock.
Yeah, and one of the awkward things here as well is like a card like Witchwood Piper that I think is maybe a little bit...
All right, pack it up.
that I think is a little bit underrated overall. It draws the Arcane Artificers, like, so what in this matchup? That's the issue, right? You're playing a 4-mana 3/3 draw 1/2 that has no real impact on the game. It's going from bad to worse for Portugal, and New Zealand are just blessed at this point. I mean, maybe one of these players is Hagatha. They're just getting all the key cards, and I think it is Ting Tong. What?
I'm lost. Why does that make you Hagatha?
Because Hagatha's like a crazy witch.
Right.
And she's summoning all the cards perfectly in order.
Right, okay.
Law time!
Bit of a reach, but okay.
I'm okay with reaching at this point. Because this, in all honesty, this is almost a paint by numbers game with Shudderwock right now.
Yeah, you just have to be careful not to make an enormous mess of the hand that has been dealt you. And I think leading out with a Life Drinker here makes a lot of sense because, as I mentioned before, like Saronite Chain Gang, you want to engineer a turn where you force your opponent to kill the Saronite Chain Gangs with difficulty, right? They have to make them commit something from hand to kill your Chain Gangs, or else you're threatening to grumble them in the future. I think, you know, with how secure of a world they have, they can even go for the quasi-guaranteed Shadowwalk setup with the, you know, grumbling your Zola specifically.
Right,
if you want to. It's not truly guaranteed like the Murmuring Elemental setup is, but it allows you one complete rebuy, so that if your first 9-mana Shadowwalk whiffs, you can at least then get a guaranteed
to try again
9-mana Shadowwalk that then has to try again.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you while we just see what else Team New Zealand can draw. With all the downsides we've discussed for the last 2 days, because we've cast a lot of Shadowwalk about Zola, why are people playing it? What are the positives? Because a lot of the time we talk a lot about Murmuring Elemental, 100% if you can get the combo off.
Yep.
In general, it's just a cheaper card that is easier to fit into your curve.
Yep.
You don't necessarily need to proc it with a Battlecry, you just need to literally play the minion if you just want the base level to go off. So why are people playing Zola right now?
Because it doesn't cost 2 mana.
Okay.
That's the simple explanation. And not playing Zola instead of Murmuring Elemental allows you to play Prince Keleseth. That's pretty much the reason. And there is just value to Prince Keleseth.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. Because it's just, I felt like, because we've talked a lot about the downsides of Zola, yeah, everyone's bringing it. I think it's important to highlight why.
Right. What confuses me, to be perfectly honest, is the Pyromancer list that then plays Zola instead of Murmuring Elemental when that happens, because
you're playing 2 drops anyway.
Yeah, then you're not disallowing it. And you know, if you do want a more in-depth answer, you know, that's the part that I agree with. Like, if you want to play Keleseth, obviously you have to play Zola. The part that I sometimes disagree with is that people, you know, argue that Zola is a stronger card in isolation, because it creates worlds where you can, you know, get extra copies of Saronite Chain Gang, for example, and then play them so they enter the Battlecry pool again. Whereas, like, Murmuring Elemental into Saronite Chain Gang is still the Battlecry. It goes off twice, but you're not getting that full setup for your Shadowwalk turn at the end. So that, to me, doesn't make a great deal of sense. But I do get on board with the argument that, like, Prince Keleseth is a card that can potentially win games on its own. And so if you're playing a list with no 2-drops, obviously Zola is the fallback.
Okay. And while that happened, the board got a little bit more full for Portugal. With the Keysmith being played, it is in fact a Spellbender. But again, just not a heavily impactful secret in the way this matchup, or the way we can see this matchup shaping up. There is no need of hexes at the moment that the Spellbender can eat up. We are going to see the Hagatha get dropped down and sold. You cannot see Rock's back in his chair ever so slightly. And my question is, hand size issues?
It's also a failure rate. Potentially. Hand size issues, exactly, is just you can now get in a position, your entire hand is minions, which means your hand is not getting much smaller apart from this healing rain. And then if you do get to that spot where you don't get those bounce backs that you need, we saw in a previous series, I can't remember which team it was, but they ended up in a position where the Saronite and Grumble did go off in the right order, but the hand got filled by the 9-mana Shadowwalk that got bounced back from Zola. And yes, again, that means you can play another 9-mana Shadowwalk on the following turn, but it's not explosive. It's not game-ending. It's not playing 10
all you've done is reset to the same scenario, right? Except often worse, because your hand's full if you have Hagatha. Also, this may be an issue with, as you stated at the very start, if you don't, like, mulligan in a regular fashion, then you don't have that card draw, where there's still kind of like a couple of cards missing that would really cement it. The multiple Saronites, the multiple Life Drinkers, which do, if you get those 9... Wait, what just happened? Was that Unstable Evolution? Oh,
hello. Yeah, Ting Tong has pretty much the same reaction we did to that turn. That was kind of goofy.
Would you have even played it that turn?
Unstable Evolution? Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I like it.
I just like playing it multiple times.
Yeah, when are you having a full turn that you're going to drop Unstable Evolution?
Next turn, because it's funny.
Next turn is his Zola Grumble turn, though, I think.
But it could be Unstable. You've got Saronite Chain Gangs on the board. That's fun. 4-mana 2/3s into 5-drops.
If you have Saronite Chain Gangs on the board, you're definitely doing your Zola Grumble turn.
God, you are no fun, Saul.
Winning's fun, Raven.
Fun is fun.
How many times must we have this same argument?
Stop being so aggressive with these arguments.
The horse is already dead. Let's stop beating it. So yeah, this is what I suspected we'd be seeing ever since Zola and Grumble came into the hand in such a secure position, in such a secure matchup. If you're not doing everything you can in this matchup to reduce your failure rate of Shudder Walk to as close to 0 as you can possibly get, you're doing it wrong, because the Control Mage is not threatening to kill you. It's just not happening. Take your time, chill out, draw your deck, find your options, set up your Murmuring Grumble guarantee if that's your deck, or set up your Zola Grumble quasi-guarantee if that's your deck. And New Zealand are playing it out perfectly so far.
Yep, no unneeded risks, including stable evolution. And to be honest, let's just talk about Portugal for a minute. They just have to keep on trucking, don't they? You know what I mean? They just have to keep going as best they can and hope. Although the chain of events, the sequence of events that they've been seeing played out on their opponent's side of the board must be progressively more disheartening, as this is literally, what exact cards do you need to win this game? There they are on turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Enjoy.
As a wise fish once told me, just keep swimming.
And here we go.
Perplexing.
Why not, right? There's a shard in there, there's a mind control tower. Oh, no, there isn't a shard in there. It hasn't been played here from 0 mana yet.
It was drawn from the
far side, yeah.
We could just play this turn.
Good, yeah. But there's...
Oh, no, you don't play this turn, right?
Elaborate.
Because of the spell issue. You're filling your hand with more cards.
Sure, that's a fair point. Is that the reason why he does that away from the Shudderwock as well in the first place? Yeah.
Just Wind Fury something right now.
Yeah.
Play everything that isn't a minion.
Right. The Glacial Shard does come out of hand though, because you know it just replaces itself with a spell, I believe, and then you might get a better spell to dump from your hand than the Wind Fury or the Rock Bio weapon anyway.
It's also pretty decent. You've got a 1 mana spell and 2 mana spell. You know, choices available. So just get them out of there.
Is the Shard not being played here? I guess they're holding on to that like for a 5/5 for a Lich King, right? Like what relevance does it have in this position?
You're not trying to freeze to stop lethal.
Yeah,
at this point.
No,
so
makes sense.
Is it just you don't need to go too crazy on Battle Cry? Shudderwock can use just for the fun of it. Like I said, winning is fun, correct, Saul? So you don't need the Glacial to win. So now with much less cards in hand, this is a lot safer with the Hagatha procs as well.
Storm drawn. But there
is... that cuts you out for next turn
2,
as well.
4, yeah, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 11 damage in play, 14, so they're safe. They're going to get a Life Drinker go off here anyway. The Grumble did hit first, which means they are now going to have to pick up one of these Shudderwocks with Zola to take care of this, but the Hagatha takes care of the majority of the board state. They still have plenty of time. But these percentage chances to whiff like this do not go away.
Why did they hover over every single Shudderwock before they chose the one on the left?
Because it's an important decision.
It's just not, is it?
No, it's really not.
Oh, I switched roles for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the Lightning Storm just cutting out a Shudderwock turn is a little bit frustrating. But the Hagatha did just deal with most of the board
the Hagatha does the job anyway. There's no real reason.
Yeah.
There is that Lich King. But the board, because the Shudderwock, quote, failed, it just did the small matter of putting 18 power on board, which now demands an answer.
And it may sound weird that, oh, if you're freezing the minions, why do you need to kill them? Well, the next Shudderwock that you know exists will then guarantee Grumble them all back for 1 mana, and that's when you lose the game. So, unfortunately for Team Portugal, you cannot just freeze and pass and try and get this Doomsday to go off on those. You know it won't happen.
Right. Here we go again. Ting Tong and New Zealand are just discussing if there are any ways remaining that he increases his odds, but with both Chain Gangs played, with Zola played, with Grumble played, he's kind of done all his work at this point.
Yeah, and the awkward thing is still hand size, right? So there's 9 cards in hand right now. If you play Shudderwock, it replaced itself with a spell, and then it can generate another Shudderwock, which goes into 10, which means if you play the 1-drop again, then your hand's full.
Sure. So we have to be dumping Wind Furies and Rockbiter weapons and Earthen Mites this turn.
And that crushing hand is actually a bad one, because it overloads you so much.
Yep.
Even though it would take care of the Doomsayer, it just means you've got to pass the next turn as well.
Yeah, take 3, idiot.
I'm surprised Wind Furies. Yeah, I was going to say, just get rid of it.
Why would you play Mana Tide instead of Wind Fury?
Yeah, it's just get rid of it.
Warriors of the frozen wastes, rise.
Now then.
Again.
It has finally become time. We are looking... Oh, Grumble goes first. And now, again, it's just that single 9-mana Shudderwock again on the following turn. That's all that's playable. And it means that Lich King lives another day. But the Glacial Shard lockout on the Lich King is very, very nice here, because as long as Ting Tong can keep going here, and as long as one of Zola and Grumble activates, even if it is the weaker of the 2 Zola that goes off after the Saronite Chain Gang, he's still able to play 1 9-mana Shudderwock each turn, which slowly but surely
it will kill you.
Is going to get him there. It will kill your opponent, but it will also exhaust your opponent at some point of ways that they can kill a bunch of 6/3s on the board.
The problem is, every turn they do this, New Zealand I mean, they have to spend a turn playing all the spells.
Yep.
What you do have to kind of ask yourself, was Hagatha actually necessary this game?
I think the answer to that question was yes, because Portugal have a slightly weird control mage board build, which has slightly more minions in it, and they drew a lot of those minions, and they represented a lot of pressure, which, by the way...
They just missed? I think Zola just went off twice. It went Grumble, Zola, Zola.
No way. The spells fill the hand. Oh, no.
I think with Glacial Shard... Wait, what are they pointing at the... Are they... Oh, that's Unstable Evolution.
Okay.
Doom Pact.
That's a polymorph. Yeah, that's a polymorph. That's 2 Doom Pacts. That's 2 Dragon's Furies.
Wait. So with the 0-mana Glacial Shard, did they have to play?
Well, they still have another 9-mana Shudderwock in hand from the previous turn, so it's not like they're completely out of stuff from this point.
Right, I'm just wondering, like, that could kind of, like, happen again.
Sure.
Right? You know,
right, but now, I mean, like, on a following turn, they can dump some of these, you know, hexes and nonsense out of their hand and then try again. It's just...
They're making a meal of this.
Right, but, you know, going back to the Hagatha point, of course, it's a huge detriment to you, and you don't want to play Hagatha ever in inevitable conclusion matchups. Weirdly, in the Murmuring deck, if you've played Hagatha, the truly infinite combo is not truly infinite anymore. There's a weird scenario where Hagatha occurs twice during the Murmuring chain at very specific points that kills all your 6/6s before the Grumble lands. In the Zola deck, that doesn't matter because the Hagatha's only going off once per iteration of Shudderwock anyway, but it's creating this hand size nonsense, and then on top of that, it's meaning that when you whiff, you make 6/3s and not 6/6s. Yep. And for Control Mage, the difference between a 6/3 and a 6/6 is night and day. They can only kill so many 6/6s. They can kill a lot of 6/3s.
I will say that depending on how many minions are left in New Zealand's deck, they might not need Shudderwock anymore because that Acolyte is a 5/7 right now with all the Keleseth procs that keep going off. So this is like that. There's a life drink, like an 8/8 life drinker that goes down.
But
like,
they'll just like fatigue themselves.
Right, but I'm talking about the other minions in the deck.
Right.
Because Matron's a lot of removal, but I don't think it's built to deal with this.
There's a 7/7 life drinker hanging around right now in the deck somewhere.
Bloodlust.
What's happened? Why is Shutterwalk so stupid, Raven?
I'm glad you said stupid and not the other word I thought you were going to say. But I don't know. It's very odd.
Why have they played a 5-7 Acolyte when they're having hand size issues?
I don't know. It's why I specifically said if there are other minions in the deck, we know how big they are because of this Acolyte. I never said play the Acolyte, New Zealand. And even if I did, don't listen to me. It's a terrible idea. Oh, and they're doing it as well.
Of course you do it.
Saul's just in disbelief about what's going on in this game that looked like it was a paint-by-numbers matchup.
Wait, the stats don't show as buffed when they're getting burned? That's weird. Why have I never noticed that before? Because KLSF decks don't usually have full hands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do. Because you like UI with Spiteful Druid all the time. Why have I never noticed that before?
I don't know. It's not my fault.
Yep, that's it. Hex your own stuff just to get 2 hexes out of your hand, because that's normal.
Saul's casting style has reverted a few years. He's just going to start shouting at the players again.
I'm getting a little bit heated.
This is, though, to be a little bit more serious, if you're playing Shudderwock, this happens sometimes. Maybe not to this level, but these awkward turns, awkward board states, and awkward hand sizes, it pops up. We talked about it as soon as Hagatha was played. So you do have to have some level of experience and I guess a level head to be able to deal with situations where you just can't do the one-mana Shudderwocks that just end the game right there and then.
Yeah.
I just want a fast sight for that massive life drinker. Death by Frog. Is that 5 hexes now in this game?
I feel like they spent so many turns not playing Shudderwock and casting spells that they could have cast a Crushing Hands by now. It wouldn't have affected their endgame.
What's worse is, after all this, where's a certain card I'm not going to name in the mage side of things?
Now also, because they've hexed one of their own minions, they have a frog on the board, which is another failure rate for the Zola and the Grumble. They've done like just about everything they could to turn 100% one game into not that.
They have a 7/7 life drinker and a totemic might that just got played though. Crushing Hands the frog, let's go.
That is now 3 layers of frog.
Is this just a toad at this point? I don't know. Is that how frogs work?
That's not how frogs or evolution or biology or anything works, actually.
Yeah, this isn't how Shudderwock should work either, but things happen. It's just farm animals left, right, and center in this game.
I think Portugal reached for a Doomsayer then. I don't think that's the right plan. You don't want to clear this frog off the board, right? It doesn't make any sense.
They could
also New Zealand
have Crushing Hands the frog.
Also, New Zealand bloodlusted the frog when there weren't any minions on the board to trade it into.
No, they went 3 damage to face. They wanted to end it.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt, nice. Frog killer.
Yeah.
Zap it. Yep, there we go.
Yep. Because again, this is normal. This is perfectly normal Hearthstone play. Nothing to see here, guys. Oh, come on!
Just kill him with life drinkers, please. 2.
A Swift.
But there's enough life drinkers, right?
There's only one more, isn't there? Oh, there isn't even one more. Ancestral Healing brings the Shudderwock back up to a 6/6, but I mean, what?
Where's the Death Knight? Are there any spells left for Dragon Fury? Flame Strike, surely.
think we've only seen one. I'm gonna be honest, I've lost track.
Same.
We've been here for 12 hours and I'm casting the stupidest game of Shadowwalk Shaman I've ever seen. Hate me if you want, but I don't remember, Raven.
Me neither.
Okay. You're right. In a minute. I got this. It's fine.
What to do? What to do?
So now, if you're Portugal, you basically just have to find a way to clear up these last few threats. And whatever last couple of minions are left in the deck, if they are there, remember, they are huge. They are astronomically large.
Are there any left? The life string of the Acolyte. Syndra goes to burn. Death Knight not burnt, though. And it's a 50-50 next turn.
Wait, are the last two cards
Death Knight
and Alana?
Yeah, they have to be, right? They're drawing.
2/5 mana tide totem. Lethal! Wind Fury! This is threatening lethal next turn. If you get lethal by Wind Fury and a 2/5 mana tide totem, I'm done. I quit Hearthstone casting forever.
Whoa, be careful. Because it could happen.
No one said I was a man of my word.
Okay.
I'm almost out of cards.
Volcano. Pointless.
Volcano into Doomsayer now. Doomsayer just trying to find that turn to lock out, and now with Lich King, with the Frost Lich Jaina even off the top, this is going to be Portugal starting a slow climb here into potentially finding victory, because if they can get a turn where this Alana lands and they don't die.
What's the last card?
The last card is everything here, honestly.
I'm out of cards.
Because now New Zealand really have no choice but to try and wait out Mage from fatigue at this point.
And they can, right? So the trick here now is dealing with Alana next turn.
Right.
So what happens is they cannot Crushing Hands is 3/6. So they have to Hex the 3/6. Which means Portugal do not have time to ping the Hex to make another 3/6. They cannot Alana then. If they don't Alana soon, they're not going to win.
Why don't they have time? They're not dead next turn.
Right, but if they ping, they're not playing Alana.
Right.
And that's one fatigue.
Okay, but if they do ping, what then?
Well, then they just have a 3/6, and then you can probably just pass at that point as the Shaman. Because what they need to do is save double Volcano for the Alana turn.
I agree.
So that means they cannot overload.
But a board of 6 5/5s and a 3/3 is 33 health, not 30. Which means a 5/5 lives at the end, or
every single turn, it's not getting an attack with the Water Elemental, so it's not healing. So this is. Wait, what happens now? Are they going to get him? Just get him? Just even itself out?
You heal for 2 off every activation.
Right. Yeah, because the damage negates. Yeah.
You heal for 2 and deal 2 damage off every activation.
I just think you just have to Alana.
Must decide.
We do dot ping, okay.
I actually was going to lean towards this because as we were talking about everything else, I said, okay, what if they do ping? Then you said, well, they just have a 3/6. So I was like, okay, but then on the next turn, they Voodoo Doll and they ping it and they have a second 3/6. Except, of course, that's nonsense, because if they already had a 3/6 on board, you then have to target your 3/6 with the Voodoo Doll when you play it. Right?
Whereas, because it's live,
to get the 3/6 from the Voodoo Doll and make a profit, you have to play it on an empty board, because Ting Tong and New Zealand are not going to make the mistake of playing minions of their own here, even if they had any, which obviously they don't. They have a handful of complete nonsense.
I don't really know what to say anymore. You got anything?
Dimly lit.
I've always got something, Raven.
Anything relevant? Was that it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want relevant stuff, this is the last water elemental that Portugal can generate here. So New Zealand might be feeling like, well, okay, if we can kill this water elemental, then we win the fatigue battle. Except any tool they use to kill this water elemental then prevents them from being able to take Dragoncaller Alana damage off the board.
Yeah, and you see that right away, but very quickly, this heal will not out-heal the fatigue, right? The fatigue's got to stack too fast.
That's the question, because nothing happened that turn for a very long time, and then Ting Tong kind of wagged his finger at the camera. So unless their team has spent this entire process doing fatigue maths and decided that they still come out ahead in this position.
I imagine that they've had to, right? I mentioned a little bit earlier about assigning roles to people on the team as the pilot, right? Straight away, the second you have no minions and fatigue's important, you know Alana's there. You know Sindragosa isn't because you saw it burn. So you know that's Alana. You can work out the numbers, right? You just can.
It's much more difficult when there is a water elemental like this in play, or, for example, when Blood Reaver Gul'dan's hero power is in play.
Yeah, it gets really weird.
The breakpoints alter by 3 on each turn. Same with like Malfurion hero power, particularly even with the difference between attacking and defending with Malfurion hero power. Now, Zuka has decided that it is Alana time, and now I make that 34 health on board, and the most likely minion to survive the volcano is the water elemental, because it's the one that starts with the highest health. But now, if you lead out with Lightning Storm, the minimum that Lightning Storm removes from this board is 14. So assuming it high rolls half the time, you are then doing 18, which 18 plus the 15 from a volcano is then 33. What did I say was on this board? 34? So you need a slight high roll from Lightning Storm to be able to get a full clear on this board.
It's not a lot to ask, to be honest.
Sure. That's a lot of 2s.
Yeah.
2, 5, 7, 8, 11, 14, 18 remaining.
So the water elemental's target number 1.
Oh, there's a Crushing Hands at the end, though. If there's only one minion left remaining, if there's only one minion left,
Wait. So should Crushing Hands have happened first?
No. Because then the Lightning Storm deals less damage.
No, before the volcano.
Also no.
Okay. I'm asking silly questions, but I feel like at this point we need to.
They're not silly. I'm not even 100% confident that was the right answer.
Brilliant.
Yeah. How has the mage won this game, Raven?
Has it? Because of Geddon? Because Volcano is playable this turn, which is why the Crushing Hands didn't come down.
Sure.
So it's going to be 4. So I actually just missed Zuka's fatigue. What was the fatigue on?
The fatigue is on 4 here, which is 5, but now Geddon comes down and threatens lethal. Geddon takes him up to 7 at the end of this turn, and he only fatigues for 5 on the following turn. And now lethal's being threatened, so these guys have the Crushing Hands. It's just lethal.
Yeah, because it went to 4. They matched at the end in terms of that fatigue damage.
Factor in the ping at the end. Forgive me. What do you want?
Not a lot at this point. I don't really know what happened. That game, I feel like, was a journey across time and space. And we ended up in a very, very weird place for a moment. And then I recovered, so I'm back to normal again. Luckily, what happened during that series wasn't completely on camera for us. So that was only a good one. I'm just going to double check if we're going to go straight into the game or not. But that's a game I feel like we need to rewind and go over probably 50 times before we understand what happened.
Yeah.
Because there were so many points where there were so many options available. Like, for example, that Crushing Hands was just around for so long. would that have made a difference if you played it 20 turns ago? I don't even know at this point. That's the issue, right?
With the way that the Zola ended up failing, or the Zola and Grumble ended up failing so many times in a row, it was, 4 Shudder Walks where Grumble went off first with 2 Saronite Chain Gangs in the pool, and then 1 final Shudder Walk where both Grumble and Zola went off before Saronite Chain Gang with 2 Saronite Chain Gangs in the pool.